Good morning. So today we are going to talk about procrastination and the truth about procrastination. So I think there's a lot of things people believe about procrastination that are just not true. So I'm going to give people just a few minutes to join here and I'll start talking about it. Yeah, procrastination is a topic that I love to dig into when we're talking about fear because, people really have all kinds of self-blamey ideas around procrastination, and I hope that I'm going to dispel some of those myths today. I'm going to give people just a minute to come in, and I'm going to try and keep this to 20 minutes or less today. I want to keep it short, sweet, and we're going to do some actionable exercises to help move through procrastination. So I want it to be short, sweet, and very helpful. This is the goal. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just get started talking about this. First of all, I would recommend having a journal or a pen and paper with you for this. We're going to do a number of exercises where you're going to want to write some things down. So if you don't already have one, you might want to go ahead and grab that. If you're watching this on replay, you can just pause it and grab a journal or a pen and paper. And if you do want to work with me, if you want to learn more about what I offer, you can always head to the link in my bio where I have all my offerings, or if you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be a link in the description box where you can connect with everything that I offer. And at the end of the live, I will take some questions, unless you're watching on replay. And then you'll get the benefit of whatever anyone else asks. Okay, so most people think that procrastination is related to laziness, a lack of willpower, a lack of discipline. This is really culturally what we're told about procrastination, right? So if you are someone who procrastinates, has procrastinated, I think we all have at some point, I want you to know that it is not because you're lazy. It is not because you are not disciplined or you lack willpower. Procrastination is a fear response. I know, crazy, right? But it actually is. Procrastination happens when you are running a subconscious fear of whatever the outcome is from the action that you're procrastinating on. So I'm going to give you some examples of this. But our nervous system is very, very powerful, and it can be very, very sneaky. Our subconscious can be very sneaky in protecting us. And procrastination is actually our subconscious trying to protect us from whatever the outcome is of what we're procrastinating on. So, some examples. Homework. This is a huge one. I feel like everyone's experienced this at some point, or at least a lot of us have. I was the biggest procrastinator on homework ever when I was in school. All school. Elementary, all the way through college. I procrastinated on all of my assignments. Now, the reason for that is because I actually had a very strong subconscious fear of failure. And I dug into this later in life and figured it out. But basically, I was terrified. On a subconscious level, I didn't realize this consciously. I was scared of what would happen after I handed that homework in, because then there was the potential for me to get a bad grade on the homework and fail. This made total sense based on my upbringing because I was raised in a home where achievement was valued and expected. So straight A's were expected. So of course, there was a lot of stress around what was going to happen after I handed that homework in. So I would procrastinate on my homework. Now, what that feels like in practice is not the same as if you're watching a scary movie and you get a jump scare or something. We're not talking about that kind of fear response. We're talking about, so that's on the spectrum. If all fear responses are on a spectrum, right? So there's way up here where you're out in the woods terrified that someone's following you. There's that kind of fear. But then lower on the spectrum, there's sort of the more tempered fear response, which is nervousness, anxiety, just kind of a feeling of resistance that is really subtle. And when that is going on, a lot of times we don't even realize we're in that fear response, but it is controlling our behavior. So when I would go to do my homework back in the day, when I would procrastinate on it, I'd think about doing my homework, and that very subtle fear response would come up of like, oh, that feels icky, it feels uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to think of something else to do instead. And then our mind immediately starts thinking of ways for us to procrastinate. You know, that feeling of like, oh, I just can't bring myself to do this thing. I'm going to go do something else. That's your nervous system having a mild fear response. And that is why procrastination is a fear response. So another example of this that I think a lot of people can relate to, especially in the online space, is starting or growing a business. So many people watching this, I'm sure, have an online business or are thinking about starting an online business. And I bet you've experienced procrastination around what you need to do to make that happen, to start the business, or procrastination around what you need to do to grow the business, right? That procrastination very likely can be traced back to one of two fears: the fear of success or the fear of judgment. So fear of success, what? Why would I be afraid of success? But there's actually a lot of reasons why you would be. Some people run a fear of success because subconsciously they believe that once they're successful, they won't have any time for themselves anymore. They won't be able to do the things in their life that they do now once they have this big successful business. Some people run a fear of success because they're afraid of what financial success will do to them. So maybe subconsciously you believe that when people get rich, they get mean. That's something that we see in our culture all the time. So if you subconsciously are afraid that by making a bunch of money, you're going to turn into a mean person, well, you're probably not going to let yourself make a lot of money. You're going to procrastinate on the action steps to start this business so that you can make money, right? So the fear of judgment, that one's a little more clear, and this comes up with online businesses a lot, where we don't want to show up on video, for instance. I'll tell you right now, this live right here, I totally procrastinated on starting this live and starting this live series. So I've been thinking about doing these videos for a long time, but I've put it off and I've put it off. And eventually I was like, okay, Brittany, what's going on? What are you doing here? And I realized that this is another way that my fear of judgment is coming up, because when you go live, it can be stressful because people might be judging what you say, judging what you do. So these are all the ways that procrastination is actually a fear response. Now let's dig in to how you can identify what's going on with your specific procrastination. So pull your journal out or a pen and paper, something to write with. And I'm going to take you just through a little breathing exercise here. And then I'm going to ask you to ask your soul, your higher self, your subconscious, if you'd like, ask your soul a question. And I'm going to state the question, and you should write it out and then answer without judging what comes up. Just write out whatever comes up for you. Okay? So first, let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And let's do that 2 more times. Once more. And now I want you to bring to mind, with your eyes still closed, the area of your life where you would like to stop procrastinating. Just bring that into your mind. Continue breathing. And now I want you to ask yourself this question. What is the fear behind this procrastination? What is the fear behind this procrastination? I'm going to let you take a moment to go ahead and write down, what is the fear behind this procrastination? And if you're watching on replay, feel free to pause and write and write and write as much as comes through. Don't judge anything that comes through. Okay. So you might have written down something that surprises you. It might be something you were kind of already aware of. But now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where in our body we're holding that fear. So I'm going to take you through a little body scan and visualization. We're going to find where in our body we're holding that fear, and we're going to send energy and light to that fear. And I'll take you through this step by step. And while you're sending the energy to yourself, I'm going to send some Reiki through to everyone who ever sees this video, either live or on replay. So go ahead and close down your eyes. And let's do some breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth like we just did. So in through the nose, out through your mouth, and 2 more times. Feel free to sigh or shake on the exhale if it feels good for you. Okay. Now, keeping your eyes closed, we're just going to scan through our body, noticing where we feel any tension, any discomfort, any pain. But we're not going to try and change anything we feel right now. We're just observing. We're just noticing. So beginning in our feet, just feeling into your feet and noticing how they feel, any sensations there, any discomfort, and continuing to breathe as we do this, and moving into our ankles, noticing any sensations there, if there's any discomfort, noticing if it feels really good, just observing. And now moving into our calves and our lower legs, moving up to our knees, just noticing and observing. Continuing to breathe. Remember to breathe. Moving up to our thighs. Feeling into our thighs, noticing and observing. And now moving into our pelvis, our butt area. Moving up into our lower abdomen, again just noticing and observing and breathing. And into our belly, our navel, our lower back. Now moving up to our diaphragm and our upper abdomen. Now moving into our chest and our upper back and just observing what we feel. Just noticing if anything is uncomfortable or tense. And breathing. And now moving into our shoulders and our upper back. Our upper arms. Our elbows. Our lower arms, feeling into your wrists and your hands and fingers, feeling into your palms, just noticing anything you feel there. And then moving into our neck and throat, noticing what we feel there. And then up into our jaw, our face, the top of our head, and our entire head. Just noticing what we feel. And continue breathing. And now what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that on every inhale, we are breathing in a bright, glittery white light. And it feels amazing. So every time you inhale, you're breathing in this beautiful white light. And every time you exhale, this brilliant, glittery white light that you've inhaled into your body is going to move to any areas where you noticed tension or discomfort or pain. Those are the areas where you're holding on to this fear. So breathe in a beautiful white, glittery light, and exhale that light into the areas of your body that feel tense or uncomfortable or painful. And just continue breathing like this. Breathing in that white light, exhaling it to the areas of your body that need it most. And as you continue breathing like this, I'm going to call in and send through Reiki energy into those areas of your body that are tense or uncomfortable or painful. So keep breathing in that beautiful white glittery light and exhaling it into the area of your body that needs it most. And as you do this, I will send through energy to help support the energy that you're breathing in. So just continue breathing. Breathing in that white light and exhaling it into the area of your body that needs it most. And as you do this, just be open to receiving. Just be open to receiving the beautiful energy of that white light. Allow your cells to just open up and drink in this beautiful white light energy. Continue breathing, breathing in the white light and exhaling that light to the area of your body that needs it most. Just another minute or two here. Continue breathing. Continue breathing in that white light and exhaling it to the area of your body that most needs it. Okay. And now continue breathing, but just feel the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe, and you can let go of the visualization. And when you're ready, go ahead and open up your eyes. All right. Feels pretty good. So now we're going to ask ourselves another question. So grab your journal, have your pen and paper ready, and we're going to ask ourselves another question. So let's close down our eyes just for a moment. Take another deep breath. Okay, and I want you to ask yourself, what is the best case scenario if I take this action I've been putting off? What is the best case scenario if I take this action I've been putting off? Go ahead and write that question out, and then write the answer, whatever comes to you, without judgment. And if you're watching this on replay, feel free to pause the video. I'm going to ask the question one more time. What is the best case scenario if I take this action I've been putting off? All right. I'm giving you a chance to write there. Okay. So now you have an idea of what's possible if you actually stop procrastinating and take the action that you've been putting off. Now that's easier said than done because, again, we're dealing with our nervous system here. So one powerful way to face fear, a powerful way to move through procrastination is to take baby steps. So to break the action that you need to do, break it down into several small little steps, because it's so much easier to take a little baby step than it is to take one big step. Okay, so I want you to make a list of actions, a list of baby steps that would lead to your desired outcome, that will lead to you completing the action you've been procrastinating on. So go ahead and take a moment and write down baby steps that would get you to this action that you've been procrastinating on. And I want this to be at least 5 steps, okay? You want this to be at least 5 little baby steps, 5 little action steps, because you really do want to spread it out in a way that is easier for your system to face, basically. So what we're doing here is we're pushing the edge of our comfort zone. We're facing our fear, but we're doing it in teeny tiny bite-sized steps instead of trying to do the whole action at once. So go ahead and take a moment to write down those action steps that will result in you completing the action you've been procrastinating on. And if you're watching on replay, you can go ahead and pause the video and take your time in figuring this out. Okay. So now that you've written out some steps, my challenge to you is in the next 24 hours, by this time tomorrow, whenever you're watching this video, whether you're live or you're watching on replay, in the next 24 hours, take the first baby step that you wrote down. I challenge you to take that first baby step today, in the next 24 hours. I know you can do it. And this is how you start making headway towards getting that action done and pushing through the procrastination. All right, so I want to open up, if there's any questions, I want to give a chance to ask them. I don't know if we'll have any, because we don't have too many people here today. But if anyone has a question, you're welcome to go ahead and type it in, and I will answer. And thank you so much for joining. This is a very small taste of what I cover in my group coaching program, the Courageous Transformation Academy. The second round of that program is going to be starting in November. Enrollment's going to be opening sometime in October. Now, in the program, we basically create long-term, permanent transformation in your life by teaching you how to identify different subconscious fears that are running in the background of your life. You learn how to work with these fears from a holistic point of view. And what I mean by that is that we learn how to embrace fear from a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual angle. So you get a really holistic education around fear. And then you learn and begin listening to the voice of your intuition, because as we embrace our fear and quiet it down, we can begin to hear our intuition much more loudly. And in the program, we also will be doing all kinds of exercises and using lots of tools to cultivate courage so that you can actually act on the intuitive hits that you start getting. So you're going to start hearing your intuition more clearly. You're going to be able to follow that intuition, and you're going to develop a completely new relationship with fear. It's pretty amazing. And what's happening in round 1 is just awesome. It's been blowing my mind, the transformation in my clients who are in the program now. So round 2 will be opening up. If you would like to join the wait list, you'll be the first to know about round 2 of the program, and there will be a special bonus for anyone who's on the wait list when I do open enrollment. So to get on the wait list, you can head to the description box if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Instagram, head to the link in my bio. Great question. So I just got a question. How do you feel about accountability buddies? I really like accountability buddies. I think that it is an awesome way to keep you going on your action steps. With that said, I think it's really important that when you choose an accountability buddy, that you're choosing someone who has the same understanding around fear and procrastination and hidden fears that come up as you're working through these things. So you both want to be on the same page, because you do want an accountability buddy who is going to be sensitive to the fact that you actually have a nervous system response that is going on when you try and take action, versus someone who's trying to encourage you just to push through and doesn't really understand what might be going on with your nervous system. So accountability buddies are awesome. Just make sure you choose your accountability buddy wisely. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining. Again, head to the link in my bio or check the description box below to work with me further and to join the waitlist for the Courageous Transformation Academy's second round. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you.